The third pattern of organization is sequence of dates and events. In this particular pattern, we'll find that it shows up quite often in history and governmental text, where the historical progress is noted in this particular pattern. It often will explain individual events that led up to some major event, such as a cultural change or the development of an idea or a professional career. And so the dates, just as in process, the dates need to appear in the order that they occurred in order for the best comprehension to happen. The topic sentence is often going to introduce a time frame. So between the years 1939 and 1941, Americans watched in horror as Europe was engulfed by a nightmare. So we know that the events that we then learn about, the major details, are going to be occurrences within that time span. Again, as I said, the dates are going to occur in real time, and they will appear in numerous sentences throughout the paragraph to sort of lead us through the historical look at the topic. The kind of transitions that you'll see will be things like right before, when the dust settled, soon after the treaty, or actual dates and years mentioned. Let's take a look at this particular example. You'll have noticed that I've already highlighted the years as they progress, and you can see that these particular dates, while they're spread out over time, are going to come to a conclusion leading up to some culminating event. Born on July 18, 1981, champion tennis player Esther Vergeer lost the use of both legs in 1990 when she was 9 years old. An operation to relieve a brain hemorrhage had left her permanently paralyzed. But if you think that stopped her ascent to fame and fortune, think again. Vergeer, who had already shown an aptitude for sports, went on to play wheelchair basketball and tennis. In wheelchair tennis, she became a world champion, winning the United States World Championship in 1998. By 2000, she'd won a gold medal in Australia's Paralympics. In 2002 and 2008, she won the Laureate Sportsperson Award for a person with a disability and is currently considered the most dominant person in her sports. In 2010, she posed naked for ESPN's magazine annual body issue, becoming the first person with a disability to appear in the body issue. So while the early dates in this paragraph trace her accomplishments in overcoming an obstacle, it all led up to what was perhaps for her the most challenging of all the accomplishments, was to sort of pose as naked for the ESPN body issue. Some note-taking tips when you're reading a paragraph that deals with dates and events. What's the overall point? As we discussed in the previous slide, that the overall point was that there are different kinds of challenges that a person with disability faces. And in the case of Esther Vergeer, she accomplished them all and she met them all. So your purpose then is to figure out what do these dates and events illustrate. When you're taking notes, make sure, and we'll look at some samples in just a minute, but when you're taking notes, make sure that your dates line up with the event so that they hang together and it makes sense. If you take a look on page 194, for example, you'll find a sample of a timeline. This particular timeline is organized from top to bottom, and you'll see how the events line up with the dates that are represented there. If you turn back one page, on page 193, you also see a boxed-in area where they have time order transitions. And so there are words like those that appear on 193 that help to guide you through a paragraph so that you're comprehending the best way in terms of those dates. Other timeline note-taking strategies look like this, where we see the earliest date on the left and it progresses through time by moving to the right. So what you're going to be doing for this one is to again go back to your packet, that's the Patterns of Organization note-taking practice, and you're going to choose either the paragraph on Ansel Bourne, who was the inspiration for the Bourne Identity movie and books, or you can choose the paragraph on the history of fireworks, and create a timeline where you indicate the major dates that are discussed. Again, you only have to do one of the paragraphs, not both.